Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I will be showing you something disturbing. I will be showing you 4 chess games. And in each of these chess games, Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana, who is a top 3 player in the world, is playing against the chess bot. What's so special about that? He's playing against Leela, one of the most powerful chess engines in the world, and Leela starts every single game without a knight. A decisive disadvantage. A huge, huge, huge odds or handicap to start a chess game. And Fabiano Caruana got eviscerated. Now, these were speed games. But this is still astounding. And that's all I have to say to start this video. Chess engines have gotten totally out of control. There are still some that we can beat and that make us feel good about ourselves, like the Nelson bot or the Martin bot on chess.com, but you cannot play against a bot like Leela and start out with a knight disadvantage. Now, granted, if we gave Fabiano Caruana more time, he likely would have a better result. Fabiano played 13 games. He made 1 draw and he lost 12. This is a top 3 player in the world. It's one of the best players of the last 10 years. He has the 3rd highest rating of all time. Yeah, let's see how this whole thing went down. This is pretty astounding. So, the very first move of every game gets a double question mark, which is kind of hilarious because, you know, the computer kicks in and is like, wait a minute, where's my knight? Well, the knight didn't show up to battle, right? So Fabiano would start every game with the move knight to f6. And almost exclusively, Leela, in basically every game, and I can literally fast forward to every single game, Leela started out every single game with the same first move. It evaluated that the lack of the knight here actually means that, you know, it needs to develop that side of the board as fast as possible and not necessarily create a weakness, right? It didn't like the fact that a pawn on e4 would potentially not have as much, I don't know what it was, as much traditional support of a king's knight. Anyway, game number 1, d5, bishop g5. Traditionally, this is known as the Veresov opening, V-E-R-E-S-O-V, if you would like to win a local trivia night. But look, I think for our purposes, I think Leela is just developing some pieces here. Now, normally the best way to meet such an opening is with the c pawn, like the most principled way, and that is exactly what Fabiano does, right? One thing we should keep in mind is that Black is up 3 points of material, but he's also given nearly 1 whole bonus point of computer evaluation because the position is so good. His next 2 moves are knight c6, queen b6, maybe develop the bishop. Like, Black's play is very easy, right? So the first thing that Leela does when it is down this knight is it wants to create a level of stability in the position. It wants to create a position where Black cannot really tactically exploit anything. Like, watch what it's going to do. Knight c6, no, watch this move, f3. It decides that long-term, this is the way to go because you're going to stop some stuff over here, and Black will probably castle this way, and Leela understands how humans play chess, which, by the way, is very scary. So it understands emotion, right? And it can kind of, I mean, this is a massive oversimplification of its actual capabilities, but Leela is, you know, it does understand that in the long run, it could have attacking possibilities over here. So Fabi takes in the center and puts his bishop on f5 and then plays e6. Fabiano has done absolutely everything right. Except he gave Leela hope. You know, he wants to develop his bishop, he wants to develop the other bishop, and then he wants to play chess. But this is a very important move because now Leela plays a3. Again, Leela is just controlling. For the first 10 moves of this game, it's just playing a totally normal game. Now it's castling. Now, if I look at this position for Black, I'm like, rook c8 all day. c5, look at this. I mean, I'm daydreaming. Queen a5, bishop takes a3, Fabiano doing everything correctly. King b1, now he castles. And you know when Stockfish is assigning you a dubious mark for castling, that bad things are about to happen? There is a very good chance that Black should have probably played h5 to begin with, to prevent the move g4, and then maybe even left the king in the center. Fabi castles, And here comes Leela. G4, H4, a little 1-2, papa. And you feel it. You feel it. It punched you. You kind of feel it. H5 is threatening to trap your bishop. What are you going to do? You got to move your H pawn. That's what you do. It comes back. By the way, one of the other moves here is bishop takes H6. I mean, if Leela starts doing this to you, this gets very scary very quickly. But a very common defensive technique is to drop the knight back to try to activate the bishop. Because then, you know, there are some positions you can trap the queen. So the bishop goes back, and now Fabi plays knight to A5. Obviously, right? He has the rook. He has the bishop. He has the other bishop. He has the knight pointed over here. Yep, Leela just keeps attacking. It's always a bad sign when it's ignoring your threats, right, for its own. And here comes G5. This is not good. Again, Leela understands humanity a little bit. It understands that this is its best chance. I mean, in terms of practical, like, you scroll down its other moves, it's going to, like, bishop f4, rook g, like, it has to go for an attack. Leela understands this time is limited. So it has to attack right now. So G5. Fabiano captures, and Leela bulldozes forward. Now, a very difficult decision to make for black. Very difficult. Do you ignore? Do you take? Right? Like, do you just let this go? Do you play G6? G6, you can understand black would play that, right? Because you close the position. But what about your bishop? What's Fabiano going to do? He plays the principled move. This is a very shrewd move. Okay? He's leaving the bishop there. Bishop takes G5. Knight C4. Now Fabiano's like, well, I'm attacking, and Leela's going to have to trade off the bishop. That's what it does. Fabi takes. This seems like it has to be a win for black, right? I mean, you removed a very important piece. Yeah, maybe, but in the long run, the bishop on H7 is kind of booty. And maybe in the long run, I will scare you and you will blunder. Keep in mind, these are blitz games. Fabiano doesn't have an unlimited amount of time. And Fabi goes for a forcing line. Look at this move, knight E4, offering a big trade. You take it, I take. Now the bishops are staring at each other. Take, pawn takes. And Fabi's like, I activate my bishop, I must be winning. He's not wrong. I mean, really, I gotta tell you, look at this. How are you possibly gonna get the queen over here? Leela plays B3. Fabi backs up with the rook. Leela brings up its king to get off the diagonal. Fabi plays B5 to not allow Leela to play C4. Fabiano's doing it. This is the third best player in the world for a reason. He's putting serious pressure on the engine. Rook C1. The problem is you actually have to beat it. And there are some positions where Leela just sits back like this and is like, figure it out, idiot. Figure it out. You're so smart. You did all of this. Figure it out, because I'm not going to lose now. I'm going to go into don't lose mode, right? So rook d6, rook g1 counterattack, black blocks, h7 check, and Fabi's like, I'm going to take the pawn. I'm not afraid. Yeah, Fabi probably should have went here. He probably should have used the pawn as an umbrella pawn, hiding underneath it. But he goes here, and he's low on time, and suddenly it's not so simple, because how do you actually put Leela away, right? A5, he's doing everything he can. Queen d4, Leela centralizing, and suddenly, give an inch, take a mile. Leela's winning. How is that even possible? What changed? Well, what changed is d7 and the weakness of the king. That's why you had to hide behind so that the H file never opened. You want to know why? Because it was bound to happen that you were going to make a mistake, and suddenly Leela has you completely swarmed. It's unbelievable how it even occurs. And you go back to defend yourself. Rook h1, rook h8, queen h8 is unstoppable. Black resigns. Leela opened two fronts of attack. It opened the H file and the D file. Fabi made one mistake. He made a mistake like 35 moves into the game. That was the end. Completely fatal. He probably shouldn't have taken the pawn, to be honest, on h7. He probably should have gone king h8. The bigger mistake, though, was taking the eye off of advancement, right? He uncoordinated his queen trying to go for an attack, and it was the wrong decision. He should have stayed here and just come back, but it's still not easy to play for win, because that's where his queen just came from. So that's one game. Keep in mind, it beat him 12 times, which is unheard of. Now, again, as I've already said, these are speed games. Fabi lost a lot of these games because ultimately he can't make a split-second decision as well as a 3800 level computer. But let's watch how Leela does it again. Okay? Knight b5. Look at this. So this time, Fabi getting the dark squared bishops off the board as fast as possible, right? Queen d7, e3, and the knight comes back to c. This is the position that we have to work with. I mean, how does Leela win from here? Right? You look at a position like this, you're like, it's just straight up down a knight. It's down a knight, and black has everything, right? Fabi going for a queen trade. Because obviously with the queens off the board, I mean, a top 3 player should not lose this position, right? He's up a knight, for God's sake. Leela gives a check. Black has to move either the knight or the king, and Leela avoids the queen trade. Leela understands it's only really going to survive these games if it has something. An extra pawn, 2 extra pawns for the piece. At least the queens are being kept on the board. Fabi kicks out the bishop. The bishop goes back, the knight goes back. I mean, you look at this position, you're like, how does this thing beat a 2,800 level grandmaster? How is it possible? How? From here, queen f2, and just like last game, h4, g4. By the way, I think this was later in the match, because obviously Fabi's not castling. You notice he's leaving his king in the center. He's also learning. It's very fascinating to see how a strong grandmaster learns also. He might castle a little bit later. He might not castle. Let's see. a5. G takes h5, bishop takes h5. I gotta tell you, this position looks much more stable, and Fabi's bishop looks much better placed, right? His position is very, very nice. His attack is incoming, and it's very difficult for actually white to make it. And now king b1. Leela's like, let's go, Fabi. a4, you're so strong. Ooh, Fabi, you're gonna play b4? You're gonna open the position like this? You're gonna bring in the queen? That's exactly what Fabi does. Very principled man. He's really controlling this game. This is an excellent game so far. Leela has got nothing. It has nothing. We saw last game, it was very tricky, but this game, it has absolutely nothing. It takes on b4. Fabiano has arrived. If a knight lands on c4, pawn lands on a3, rook lands on b8, like, how is what? Like, humans here would poop their pants. Separate of having to make a move. But, like, what do you, I mean, you would just panic here. You play knight a2, right? At least knight a2 is a decent move. But now what? What do you do here? Well, king a1. I remember now because I was looking at this game before. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're still here, this is definitely the craziest game of the whole thing. This one. When I saw the way that white defended here, I was just absolutely mind blown. I mean, just watch. Knight b5, right? Rook b1, right? Knight d6. I mean, the position's miserable. Look at these pieces. You can never go b3 because you just, I mean, white is completely restricted. This is all white has left. And here, Leela plays rook g5. Like, no human in any part of the galaxy would play rook g5. Now Fabi plays c5. Duh. Because he's just going to keep attacking. He has more pieces. Leela goes bishop d3, inducing c4. Like, that's what Fabi wanted to play anyway. White is completely cornered. Queen c7 is not the best move, but black can do a lot of different things. Fabi probably wanted to bring his knight, etc. Bishop d1 is what is forced to be played here. Now Fabi plays knight b8. Knight b8's not a great move, but black can, again, do anything. The computer wants king f8, king g7, wants to bring the rook. Very hard to walk your king to g7, knowing that there's a rook here. He goes knight b8, and now the second black goes backwards. The second black goes backwards, there's Leela right there, ready to go forward. And now black has doubt, you know? Fabi didn't have a whole lot of doubt before this. So now Fabi plays f6, but now Leela's happy because a little bit of a softening of the position has occurred, and it backs up. And this is all it needs in the long run. Here comes Fabi transferring the knight back in. c3. I mean, c3 is absurd. No human, because what about knight a5 check? Right? Knight a5 and knight b3 check? Apparently you can, watch, c3, Fabi plays king f7. The point of king f7 is to stabilize the pawns and to bring the other rook, and it's over. It has to be over. Queen g2, there's not even a threat to this move. There's no threat. Knight a5, it's game over. Knight b3, you're losing. Knight b4, just in time. I told you, this game is a circus act. Knight b3 check. If you take it, you lose. You get mated. King a2. What? King a2 is played. Fabi plays a3. Boys and girls, there is nowhere to run. There's nowhere to run. If you take the pawn, queen a5, you can't stop queen a3. You have to go back to c2, at which point I take, and I'm threatening a million mates. I'm threatening knight c1, for God's sake. Look at this. Knight c1 takes, queen b3 here, rook b8. You're mated. I mean, you just lose. You just lose. a3, there is no running. If you can't run away from that, pawn takes b2 is a... You know what Leela plays here? The craziest thing about this position is it looks completely lost, but it is the biggest advantage for white the entire game. Because when white starts, it's -4. Leela plays f4. Out of nowhere, the integrity of the black position is questioned. The best move here for black is the absolutely ridiculous knight takes e4, bishop takes h5, and now ignoring the bishop, but playing rook g8, stabilizing like this, and the attack continues on this side of the board. But that's really impossible to find for a human. Fabi sees f4, Fabi plays g5, and he's blundered because bishop takes, rook takes, pawn takes d5, and out of nowhere, the rook is no longer protected, so there are threats. How on earth is the king surviving? I mean, this is like those movies where you run away and they're shooting, but they can't hit anything. It's like a comedy. The best move now is king g7, stepping out of the way of the diagonal attack. Bobby doesn't see that. He's a human. But queen a5 makes perfect sense. AB is GG. It has to be GG. You're losing. DE6, what do you play? By the way, queen a5 actually, I think on a high depth was the best move. I don't know why this game review said that. I think it was the best move. Queen a5, pawn takes g5, and now Fabi has to play the unfindable. There's only one move here that wins the game for black. Queen a4. The idea of queen a4 is to play knight c1, queen b3 check, pawn takes b2, double check, and mate. That is the idea. He has to play queen a4. If he doesn't play queen a4, he will lose the game. Because now, the only move, I mean, the defensive move here for white is so heinous. You're threatening, if you take the pawn, it's mate. Like, you've been mated the whole game. White to move, and Leela here plays b3. b3 is insane. You give up a pawn with a check, but the point is, after takes and takes, it's not checkers. I don't have to take the knight. And now, for this move, and this move only, black does not have a check. So I go here. And I threaten the rook, and I threaten queen e6, and Fabi resigns. Now, Stockfish, because this was a blitz game, actually thinks pawn takes f6 is even better. And the point is, now you said there's no check. This is the only check. But if you take, the attack rages in. There's no stopping it. Knight f5, queen e2 is an attack on the rook and the pawn, black loses. Because it's a blitz game, Leela went queen g4, and the move here that survives for black is queen a7. Because queen h5 check, king g8, and pawn takes f6, the rook is hanging. But Fabi just resigned because he had like 20 seconds left, and he probably just thought he was lost after queen e6. There was no way he was going to find queen a7, and he's losing the rook with a check already, so he resigned. But we see Stockfish here going, ah! I mean, this is b3. I mean, Fabi was so damn close. I cannot believe it. Now, we're going to look at another game where in this one, Leela plays a gambit. This time, Leela's like, okay, I'm going to gambit a pawn, and now I'm going to play rook g1. See, this is the advantage of not actually having a knight. So you start the game, right? You got to be an optimist. An optimist is like, there's no knight on g1. So now I have activity. Now it plays the exact same setup. The problem with this setup for black is that there's already a very active rook. For the cost of a g-pawn, this is hardly anything. It is much more important for a computer to have an active g-rook than not. d5, f3, and as we can see, this is already bad news. This is already very, very bad news. I would hate to get into a position like this. Compare this to the last game after some 15 moves. The level of stability achieved and putting white's pieces so passive is what contributed to a really nice game. This is very different. We have active pieces. We have more center space. Fabi goes bishop g6, and again, he's gonna try to do the same thing he's been doing, which is activate his pieces and queenside attack. It's gonna go queen d3, which is insane because it's walking its bishop, its queen into the line of the bishop, and again, Fabiano is going to start an attack. So bishop d6. Leela says, nope. Puts the bishop back on the home square, and okay, it's gonna have to try to move its pawns, right? Queen c7, knight e2, okay, long castle. Very different type of game. This time, Fabi doesn't leave the king in the center or short castle. He castles long. Symmetrical. Makes sense, right? Because in this game, Fabiano's king was attacked. In this game, Fabiano's king was attacked. You're not going to attack his king if it's on the same side. Okay, Fabiano was onto something. He's also changing his strategy. He's changing his king positioning, right? Okay, queen c3, b3, kicks out the knight. e5, okay. What's the big idea, though? Because black is going to play f6, c5, right? Nope. Can't play f6 now. Okay, so what? Fabi's obviously going to prepare c5. So he plays king b8. Gets the king off the diagonal. He's going to prepare c5. Bishop g4. Maybe I'll take the knight. Take the pawn. Maybe. Fabi's like, go ahead. Go ahead, Leela. It doesn't. He goes here. He goes c5. He prepared it perfectly. Perfect preparation. Excellent. c5 counterattack. He's the one attacking now. Rook c1. c4. Perfect. I mean, fantastic. Fabiano himself is playing like Leela, right? This is great stuff. His knight is bad, but you're not really going to take it, right? Because this is never going to happen. Can't, right? f4. What does f4 even do? Insane thing about the move f4 is the best move for black is to take it. That's really crazy. And if the queen leaves, cb3 in this attack is really, really strong. f4, knight takes f4 is unbelievable. But Fabiano's not a computer. He goes king a8, puts his knight on b8, brings his rook. I mean, Fabi, like, white doesn't have any moves. And he has all of the initiative. He has sealed the center. He's playing this perfectly, right? He's done this a few times in this mini match. Now f5. Now a very well-timed f5. If bishop takes, you lose this. So you got to take with the pawn. But if you take with the pawn, right, your center got a little destabilized. A little bit destabilized. Bishop c3 is crazy. Knight c6. And now, all of a sudden, who is attacking who? Somehow Fabi's pawns got split off. The center is now very solid, and the king is very uncomfortable. The best move is to play rook b8. Fabi does. Rook b2. By the way, this looks like a free pawn. It is. Knight takes c5 is straight up a free pawn. It's actually also the best move in the position. I'm not sure why Fabiano didn't like it. Maybe he missed it. I'm not really sure. He plays f4. I think he just wanted to activate his bishop. Leela gives it away again. Now Fabi brings his knight off the edge of the board, obviously, because he's got to trade it. Now, here's the crazy thing about this position. When you play knight g3, the last move that you are considering is knight takes g3, because you're like, there's no way Leela is going to do that, losing a defender of its center, giving me a pawn. This was a terrible piece. That's exactly what it does. That's exactly what it does. And then it goes here. And now, how on earth is the entity down a knight calling the shots of the position? That doesn't make any sense. How are the crazy people running the asylum? Like, what is happening here, right? This doesn't make any sense. 34 moves into the game. Fabi feels the pressure. He takes his eye off the ball. The rook needed to keep an eye on the center. Because now that it doesn't, d5. Fabi resigns. Fabi straight up resigns the game here. Now, you might look at this and go, oh, man, the bar says it's bad. No, it doesn't feel that way. Would you like to know one of the top engine moves here for black? Of course you would. Well, you feel like your knight is trapped, right? You look at this position, you want to go knight e5. That doesn't work because of d6 ideas and all of this. It does work. You just barely survive. Fabi could have kept going. He probably just thought in the long run he would lose. The best move here for black is bishop to h5. Because you give up a bishop, and after this move, there is no pressure on b7. That's you meet a fork idea with just a full giveaway of a bishop, and after bishop e4, bishop g6 is the best move, and then white has the option to make a draw. Yeah, Fabi, why couldn't you just play bishop h5, you bozo? Yeah, Fabi just resigns. I mean, again, he could have maybe played on, but he would have had to play knight e5, because I don't think he saw bishop h5 as a concept. I mean, again, you go back a few moves, like, Black had everything. Black had everything in this position. It's insane. Now, this is the last game that I would like to show you. This was the game where humanity almost prevailed. In this game, it was a very different opening, actually. Leela did not play knight c3, and I think that led to Fabi getting a really nice position. Fabi took over the center completely in this game. Look at this. Took over the center completely, and this kind of shows you why Leela needs space, because it struggled a bit. It wasn't able to generate as much play, but look at what it did. I mean, look at how efficiently it maximizes its only resources available. It glues the bishop into the center. Taking it is scary. A3 to try to play b4. Fabi plays this. It plays knight b3 to kick out the bishop. And it castles, and it's like, at some point, Black is still going to have to make a play for a win. And Fabi in this game did a great job. Fabi controlled everything. He wasn't attacking. He was just stabilizing the position. Great play from him. Pawn take, double pawn, by the way. Double pawn, pass pawn ideas. Leela, again, as always, tried to generate some sort of attack. Look at Leela. Sacking a pawn in the center, closing off Black's position to the knight, the rook, and the bishop, and f5, launching an attack on the king. Of course, Fabi is completely winning. He just has to not panic. e4, well-timed. Pawn takes f5, and rook e7, a mistake. He just blunders in one move, queen d4 check. He must have thought that he had something here. Black can play knight e5 here, but again, with an open king against an engine, it's not easy. He plays bishop e5, and after rook e5 actually was the best move there. But what we end up getting is a position that looks like this, and Fabiano Caruana is just straight up a knight. The knight made it all the way to the endgame, and it's a draw. The position is a draw, but Leela doesn't make draws. It doesn't like to repeat moves. So Fabi is going to have to play this position with limited time on the clock. Now, I think that was a draw, by the way. Yeah, so I think this was 1, 2, okay, hold on. 1-time repetition? 2-time repetition? Oh, no! Leela actually rejected it. Never mind. Leela keeps playing, Leela keeps playing, Leela keeps playing. And Fabi, I mean, has a draw in the hand, but I think here he blunders. Rook f7, and it's still a draw if he plays queen g5. He has to, control the checks. He goes here, and he blunders because he loses the knight, and he's also getting mated. He managed to draw one game. Which is, this is just so crazy. It's just so crazy. This is the third best player in the world. For a long time, the only player Magnus Carlsen considered the second best chess player in the world. Not that that, means anything. It's not like you get a stamp for that or something, but I really enjoyed these games because he's so good, and it's so interesting watching him change the strategy, put the king there, leave the king in the middle, how bad it is to castle on that side, and Leela wins 12.5 out of 13. Absolutely wild stuff. Wild stuff. I will continue to play it. I will probably play Leela with knight odds and rook odds and kind of keep you updated as well, but this is just so wild how good it is. Europe Tour 2025, if you're still here, tickets available. Brussels, London, Vienna, special guests being announced every day, every week. So check that out. Check out Chessly. New courses getting added every single month. We are building some amazing learning tools to improve your chess. That's all I have for you today. And get out of here.